Top 10 Xbox 360 games list that are exclusives.
First, I have to set some ground rules. One is that every game must be a true exclusive. That means that the 360 games that also have a PC version, as well as those that are multi-platform overseas, are ineligible to be on the list. Second of all, one game per franchise, because we all know what two franchises will dominate if that rule wasn't in play. And now we're done with all the ground rules, let's begin the list. Number 10. Well, isn't this convenient? The Peanuts now in theaters. But Snoopy Flying Ace is a surprisingly competent game that offers a lot more than its cutesy exterior might convey. With a familiar cast of beloved characters and a variety of planes and weapons to customize, there is plenty to unlock. You can also play online, if people were still playing online. But the fact that you can play the missions with a friend more than makes up for it. The game has tremendous value, so I encourage everyone to pick up this great dogfighting game. Get it? 'Cause he's a dog! Number 9. Colts Saga is what happens when you combine Magic the Gathering and Monopoly. The goal is to win the most points by either claiming the most territory, defeating monsters, and looping around the board. While it is a simple concept, the game is anything but. Considering the staggering amount of cards available with an outlandish number of effects, games can take up to several hours. But thankfully, because of how addicting the game is, you will never notice how much time actually passed. Add in a serviceable story and a surprisingly good soundtrack, and you get a refined yet humble package.
While it may seem ridiculous to recommend a game like Colts Saga, with the rise of other card games like Hearthstone and Gwent in The Witcher 3, this is a perfect time to track this game down and really enjoy one of the most underrated gems of the Xbox 360's library.
Number 8. I said it once 2 years ago when I reviewed this game, and I'm gonna say it again. Cameo Elements of Power is Rare's finest work on the system in my opinion, and the one that is most reminiscent of its former glory days. The ability to transform into 10 different warriors, each with their own abilities, adds variety not just to puzzle solving, but the surprisingly addictive combat too. Rare didn't have the best track record on the system. Some good games and some games I'd rather not talk about, but Cameo is definitely worth a play. Number 7.
Tomonobu Itadaki, the bad boy of the industry. When he doesn't blemish his name by releasing The Devil's Turd, he also gave us some great games like Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive, a series that half of its lifespan has been exclusive to the Xbox brand. And while I didn't play Dead or Alive 3 or Ultimate in time, when I got my 360 and I had only one choice of a game to get, well, the choice was pretty easy. Dead or Alive 4.
So it's not the most technical fighting game out there, but there's just something really satisfying about countering at the right time, or even better, knocking someone down a flight of stairs. Heck, if you want to see proof that this is an Xbox exclusive, just play the Halo level with the female Spartan.
Hostile down.
It's as clear as day that Dead or Alive 4 doesn't take itself too seriously, and thank God for it. I mean, heck, the opening is by Aerosmith. Need I say more? Number 6.
Guys, I have a confession to make. One of the reasons why I bought the Xbox 360 was to experience this game. Because back then it was supposed to be an Xbox 360 exclusive. Go ahead and laugh, I deserve that one. But the other reason was to experience the RPGs made by the father of Final Fantasy himself, Hironobu Sakaguchi, and his studio Mistwalker. And while their first game, Blue Dragon, was okay, the second game they made blew it out of the water. Ladies and gentlemen, Lost Odyssey.
The biggest hook of Lost Odyssey is easily its premise. The game follows the tale of Kaim Argonar, a veteran soldier that is haunted by his immortality. The conflict is unique and fresh, and the different interactions between all the characters feel far more real and grounded in reality. That there are plenty of scenes that, while in theory should be melodramatic and drawn out, are surprisingly having a lot of emotional heft to them. The battle system is simple yet intricate. It uses an effective timing mechanic that when you leave the button at the right time, you inflict more damage. Overall, it is quite unfortunate that Lost Odyssey remains forgotten, as in my opinion it is one of the best Japanese RPGs out there, and I highly recommend it, if only for Jansen. I mean, come on, he's voiced by Knuckles the Echidna.
Hey, whoa, hey, you are really short-tempered. Hey, I don't have a sword, okay? Oh no.
Number 5.
Before anyone asks this, Chop Till You Drop is a botched remake, not a full-fledged port of the original. And with that being said, let's talk about Dead Rising.
Before zombie games became prominent, there was one mole, one Frank West, and a legion of undead wanting to non-human flesh. Going back to Dead Rising, I do have to admit that some elements still irk me, like the primordial aiming system, the dumb survivor AI, and the infinite nagging of Otis Washington. But with that all said and done, Dead Rising is still one of the most charming games I've ever played. It's those little things, like the atmosphere in the mall and the creative pictures that you take, that make Dead Rising feel more immersive. All of its problems go away when you get to do fun stuff like kick a soccer ball to knock down zombies, or fight a psychopathic clown juggling chainsaws that are actually on. It may be flawed, but no one can deny the heart that Dead Rising has. Even if a zombie eats it. Number 4.
Hey guys, do you remember Halo 3? I sure do. It was one of the biggest games of 2007, and I definitely wanted to play it before anyone else. So Microsoft offered a special beta, but it was also $60. Thankfully, that price didn't just include a pretty good beta, but a really awesome game. Crackdown.
In theory, Crackdown feels uneven, since you are single-handedly tasked to take down all the gangs around Pacific City. Thankfully, however, you got superpowers. Use your super strength or leap a few stories high in order to put all the criminals behind bars. While playing the main campaign is fun and all, it's even more fun going around Pacific City and trying to collect as many augmenting orbs so you can increase your jumping height even further. By making side quests entertaining and not just an obligatory activity, it's more than enough of a reason to include Crackdown on the list. Don't miss this one out, Agent. Number 3. If imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, then Metroid should be extremely flattered. Shadow Complex is a modern homage to the 2D exploration games of yore that adds enough tweaks and panache to stand on its own feet. The map is filled with many goodies like weapon and health upgrades, but also handy tools that might draw some inspiration from a particular bounty hunter. The controls are precise and targeting feels second nature. It is one of those games that are incredibly easy to pick up and also very hard to put down. Also, if you're one of those Xbox fans that are sad you didn't get Uncharted, well, at least here you got Nolan North.
No, I'm not sure. Now get out of here before I think about it any longer.
If you want a game that perfectly exemplifies the excellence of Xbox Live, look no further. Shadow Complex is a must-own. Number 2.
Well, it all boils down to this. We know what's gonna be the next top 2 slots, Halo and Gears of War, but now the question is, which one is gonna be number 2 and which one is gonna be number 1? And I know this might upset some people, but I have to go with my gut. Number 2, Halo.
But when it comes down to deciding which Halo to choose, it was a bit trickier. I liked Halo 4's story, I liked the ODST's atmosphere, and I liked Halo Reach's, dog fighting segment? I mean, that was cool, right? But my final choice is Halo 3. The campaign had great pacing with some of the best missions in Halo history. The weapons packed a lot of punch, and dual wielding still remains a sorely missed feature in future installments. Add in a great multiplayer and the introduction of Forge, and you got a classic. To me, Halo 3 is the zenith of Bungie's Interstellar series, and if that was the way of the franchise to finish its fight, at least it did it with a bang.
If we don't make it,
We'll make it.
Number 1!
Let's cut to the chase, guys. We all know it's Gears of War, but the question is, which one? The popular choice would be the original game because, well, it's the very first killer app for the system, and it has fantastic campaign, audio design, graphics, multiplayer, all the fixing. Unfortunately, due to the fact it also came out for PC, it's ineligible to be a part of this list since it's against the rules. So, it pretty much boils down to the two sequels to figure out which one is the best Gears of War game.
This is by far the hardest decision I've had to make, since I think the quality of both Gears 2 and 3 are almost equal. But let's use a magnifying glass and analyze this a little bit. Gears of War 3 gave us Beast Mode, and you can use any kind of enemy that was seen in the campaign as an actual playable unit. But Gears of War 2 gave us Horde Mode, which is now a standard in shooters. Gears 3 finally added more color to a rather monochromatic game series, but Gears 2's campaign felt a lot more memorable, and the character interactions as a whole felt more authentic. So I'm gonna give the final nod to Gears of War 2, but really both games are amazing. Cover-based shooters are very prominent today, but while Gears of War did not create that mechanic, it definitely perfected it. It's one of the many reasons why the series is still going strong.
And it doesn't matter if you play Gears 2 or 3, this series as a whole is great. Even Judgment has its moments of excellence. And that's the reason why the number 1 spot is reserved to Gears of War. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and take care.